Have you ever wondered what's truly the most terrifying part of cleaning up after someone dies? It's not the smell. It's what remains in the room long after the body is gone. Today, we dive into a chilling story shared on Reddit by a veteran crime scene cleaner. There's always a dark figure watching me from the corner. People always ask me what the worst part of cleaning up death scenes is. Most assume the answer is the smell. They're not wrong. The odor of a decomposing body sealed inside a closed apartment for 3 weeks in the middle of summer is something physically aggressive. It's thick. It clings to your hair, your clothes, and burrows deep into your lungs. But after 5 years in this profession, the smell no longer frightens me. What truly terrifies me, what sends me reaching for sleeping pills on so many nights just to close my eyes, is the silence of those rooms. Rooms that preserve the final moments of a human being, and sometimes preserve things that don't belong to this world. It happened last November, in an old apartment building on the outskirts of the city, Unit 404. The deceased was a 28-year-old man, living alone, working as a freelance programmer. He died in his bed. The coroner ruled it a suicide by sleeping pills. All forensic procedures had been completed, the body had been removed, and my company was hired to erase the traces of his existence from that room. When I pushed open the door, the apartment was swallowed in darkness. The curtains were drawn shut, blocking out the feeble evening light from outside. The air was ice cold and reeked of disinfectant, barely masking the stench of decomposition beneath. I reached for the light switch. Nothing. Power had been cut the week before. I strapped my professional headlamp on and began working. The living room and kitchen held nothing unusual. Belongings scattered the way any bachelor would leave them. Half-eaten pizza boxes gone moldy, empty soda cans, tangled cables and computer wires everywhere. But when I stepped into the bedroom, the temperature seemed to drop sharply. The small windowless room had a double mattress in the center. Where he had drawn his final breath, a large dark brown-black stain of decomposition fluid was soaked deep into the white bedding. This is routine. When the heart stops, the body breaks down and fluids seep out. My job was to wrap the mattress, dispose of it, and clean the floor. But when my headlamp swept across the mattress surface, I noticed something strange. The fluid stain wasn't concentrated at the pillow area or the center. It was spread unevenly, with 2 deep, hollow impressions sunken into the mattress where the fluid had pooled. It didn't look like the trace of someone lying flat and dying peacefully. It looked like the impression of something enormously heavy crouching on the man's chest, until his body decomposed beneath it. I swallowed hard, forcing that disturbing thought out of my head. Just an occupational hallucination, I told myself. I sprayed the chemical solution on the mattress and prepared to roll it up. At that exact moment, my headlamp beam swept upward and struck the ceiling. I froze. Directly above the bed, covering the white plaster ceiling, were countless faint scratches. Long, dense, darkened lines. I dragged a chair over and climbed up to look more closely. My heart skipped a beat. They were claw marks. Deep gouges that had torn away entire strips of paint, forming arching patterns radiating around the position of the bed. But what was horrifying was this. The man had died on that bed, and the ceiling was nearly 3 meters high. Who or what could have clung to that ceiling and clawed at it directly above a corpse? I stepped quickly down from the chair, cold sweat beginning to bead on my forehead. I hurried to flip the mattress over to finish the job as fast as possible. When it flopped back, a black leather-bound notebook fell from the gap between the mattress and the bed frame. It was the dead man's diary. The rule in this profession is to never pry into a client's personal life. But in that suffocating, pitch-dark space, with those claw marks gaping above me, I couldn't suppress the curiosity mixed with dread. I opened to the final pages. The handwriting was wild and shaking, and in some places the pen had torn straight through the paper. October 12th. It came again. I know I'm not going insane. I turned off all the lights and tried to sleep. But the corner of the room beside the wardrobe, the darkness there is thicker than it should be, as if it's condensing into the shape of a person. It's tall enough to touch the ceiling, but it has no arms. I can't see its face, it just stands there, October 17th. It's no longer standing in the corner. Last night, when I drifted half awake, it was at the foot of my bed, hunching itself down toward me. Its neck extended at an impossible angle. I could hear the sound of its breathing, like bubbles of liquid bursting deep in a throat. I squeezed my eyes shut and prayed. By morning, the floor at the foot of my bed was damp. I couldn't turn on the light. The switch is broken. The whole building has power, but my room doesn't. It hates light. It wants me to see it in the dark. When I opened my eyes, it was about 1 meter away. When I blinked, it was half a meter away. It moves in the moments I'm not looking at it. I'm afraid to blink anymore. My eyes are dry and burning. They're bleeding. It's standing right at the edge of the bed now. It has no eyes, but I know it's watching me. It's waiting for me to exhaust myself. The final page had only a single line, pressed so hard into the paper the ink had bled and smeared. October 25th. I've swallowed the whole bottle of sleeping pills. It won't kill me itself. It only wants me as a vessel. I just watched it climb up onto the ceiling, all its joints bending the wrong way. It's staring straight down at my face. You won't have me. The notebook slipped from my hands and hit the wooden floor with a dry, hollow thud. The silence was absolute. Only my own ragged breathing echoed through the windowless room. I aimed my headlamp at the ceiling one more time. The claw marks were still there, but now I noticed a detail I had missed before in my panic. At the very center of the ring of scratches was a small hole, roughly the size of a door handle, bored deep into the plaster. Something had drilled through the ceiling from outside to get in. Or it had drilled out from inside the room to crawl up there. Suddenly my headlamp flickered once, twice, then went completely dark. I was plunged into absolute blackness, the pitch black of a sealed room without a single photon of light. I frantically smacked the lamp on my forehead, trying to restart it. Tap, tap, nothing. Right then I heard a sound rise from the corner of the room near the wooden wardrobe. A soft, unhurried scraping, but razor clear in the total silence, like fingernails slowly dragging across the surface of wood. I held my breath. Every cell in my body was screaming at me to run, but my legs were rooted to the floor. The darkness before me seemed to be moving. It was no longer a uniform black. A section of the darkness in the corner of the room appeared thicker and denser than the surrounding black, a towering dark mass rising all the way to the ceiling, beginning to peel itself away from the wall. Then the words from the diary struck me like lightning. It moves in the moments I'm not looking at it. By instinct, I squeezed my eyes shut and stumbled backward in panic. My back slammed hard against the cold wall. When I opened my eyes, even without light, I could sense that something was blocking most of the air directly in front of my face. A sharp, fetid smell, like wet mold and dried blood, drove straight into my nostrils. It was right in front of me. I heard its breathing directly above my head. That sound of bursting liquid bubbles, deep, wet, gurgling. Something cold dripped onto my forehead. It trickled down the bridge of my nose. It was hunching over, looking at me. I couldn't scream. My throat had clenched shut. I swung my arms wildly into the darkness, grabbed my equipment bag, blindly hammered the door lock, and threw myself out of the apartment like a madman. I ran down 4 flights of stairs without looking back once, not even for a second. That night, I terminated the cleanup contract. I told the company I was severely ill. I threw my protective gear and the broken headlamp into a public trash bin before going home. That was last year. I quit my job and moved to another city, into an apartment flooded with light. I thought I had escaped. I thought that thing was locked inside that dark room, Unit 404, until last night. I was asleep in my bed. My room is fairly large and I always keep a small nightlight on. Around 3 a.m. I drifted half awake with a dry throat. Out of habit, I reached for my phone on the nightstand to check the time. The blue glow of the screen lit up part of the room. I glanced toward the foot of the bed. There, right at the edge of my mattress, was a dense mass of darkness. It stood completely still. No arms. Its neck extended at an impossible angle, boring straight up into the ceiling above. My phone dropped from my hand and landed face down on the floor. Only the faint glow of the nightlight remained, casting weak light across part of the room. I want to close my eyes. I want to believe this is only a nightmare. But the words from that diary are nailed into my mind. It moves in the moments I'm not looking at it. If I blink, it will be on me instantly. So I'm sitting here, absolutely still, not breathing, both eyes wide open, locked on that dense dark mass at the foot of my bed. It's tall enough to reach the ceiling. No arms. Its neck stretching upward at an angle that defies everything human. I can hear that sound directly above me now. Liquid bubbles bursting. Wet and deep. I'm typing these words with both hands trembling so badly I need all my fingers just to hit a single key. The wet breathing is sounding right beside my left ear, getting closer with every second. I know that the moment I blink, even just once, that dark mass will no longer be standing at the foot of my bed, and I can feel my eyelids growing heavy.